So I actually have a cup of tea because I just can't be bothered. I can't be bothered to put the kettle on. I can't be bothered to make tea. So there we go. That's that. I thought I'd sort of give you a bit of a rundown as to where I've been, what I've been doing, because I've not done a video for ages, and and I went to New York, which is why Times Square is in the background, sort of running away, very, very jittery, but the webcam sort of that I'm using, Earthcam, which I'll put a link in the description below, is a bit shit. I also have a new camera, which is a Canon 600D, which means we'll get better depth of field, which is sweet. So that's all good, so that's fine. But yeah, New York, amazing place. I'm not going to talk too much about like flying or anything like that, security, because that's just unnecessary and just crap. But no, New York, just an amazing place. If you ever have the opportunity to go to New York, just do it, because it's just amazing. I went to New York thinking it was kind of going to be like the same as London, but like worse. So if you go to London, people bump into you, there's tons of people, then you've got no space. New York, completely opposite. But there's tons of people. There's a hell of a lot more people than there are in London, but nobody bumps into you. If they do bump into you, they're insanely apologetic, and everybody gives you your own space. You know, you're not all crowded round and crowded in, and it felt really, really nice. It felt really, really safe as well, which is the other thing, which I didn't think I was gonna feel. I didn't think I was gonna feel safe. I felt insanely safe. But yeah, anyway, so what did I do when I was over there? So we went to Brooklyn. The first day I went over there, we went to Brooklyn, which was an interesting experience. We went to the Barclays Center to watch the Harlem Globetrotters. If you've never seen them before, check them out on YouTube. Fucking hilarious. Actually, I've got a clip here. That's the sort of the stuff they do. That was actually, by the way, captured on my Canon Ixus 220HS, which actually wasn't a bad camera on the trip. I didn't take it out too much because obviously I had this new device to play around with, the 600D, which is effing amazing, and I kind of regret not taking that to the Harlem Globetrotters because I didn't capture the best pictures ever, but hey, hindsight and all. But no, so we went to go and see the Harlem Globetrotters at the Barclays Center. There was this insanely long queue, really unnecessarily long. The Harlem Globetrotters, though, were amazing. They were worth waiting for. Just a shame that the Barclays Centre ballsed up, but hey, there you go. Barclays can't do anything right. That's why the banking is shit. So then what else did we do? We did the standard Empire State Rockefeller Center. Rockefeller Center, if you've never actually heard of it, because it's apparently it's quite a new thing. They've only just opened it up so that people can go up there. The Rockefeller Center is kind of like the Empire State, but 100% better. It's an insanely tall building, but it's got nothing around it that sort of obscures your view. You can see Central Park really well, and you can see the rest of the city really well. And in actual fact, I thought that was a better experience than the Empire State. The Empire State is worth going up. If you've got a bit of time and got a bit of money and you don't really care too much, go up the Empire State because it's worth going up. But the Rockefeller Center is kind of better. I'm not too sure whereabouts that is. I think it's 39th Street. I think it's on 5th Avenue, I think. Don't quote me on that. But no, that's worth going to see. What else did we do? Well, obviously, you had to do lots of shopping. We went to Barney's. The other thing that really surprised me was you went to these really expensive shops. Now, when I say really expensive, I mean expensive. Like Barney's, for instance, they had... Well, you go in, first floor, there was a tie I quite liked. $180 for this tie. And it was nothing special. It just had like these patterns. If you were stood from a distance, actually I'll show you a picture up there. If you were stood from a distance, it looked like a standard pattern. If you were actually up close, you could see like little individual details, like cars that were all sort of together in a pattern, or ice creams and stuff like that. They're really, really good, but they were $180. I was like, it's a lot of money for a tie, and they didn't feel like they didn't feel like $180 ties. They felt quite cheap and nasty. So, and also there was a jacket I quite liked in there, $6,000. So I didn't buy that either. There's quite a few things I quite liked in there, but they were very expensive. So I didn't bother. But no, like you go in there, jeans and a t-shirt, you don't get any hassle. No hassle whatsoever. They ask you how you doing, you know, if you need any help, and that's it. They leave you alone. There's no there's no following you around the shop. If that was in London, if that was in Harrods, for instance, you get hassled to Kingdom Come because they just don't like it. But that's what I really loved about, well, New York in particular. I don't know about the rest of the US, but New York in particular was very customer focused, which I I absolutely love that. I thought it was amazing. So yeah, we went to Barney's, we went into Tiffany's, which is another insane, it's kind of like the department stores really, but very, very expensive department stores. Went to Bloomingdale's, that's another expensive department store. We went to Macy's. Now Macy's is a bit different because Macy's is just essentially just it's a huge shop, but it's not expensive. It's kind of like a Big Dingles. If you've ever been like a House of Fraser, it's a big one of those essentially. There's nothing really that special about it. It's just huge. So we also did obviously Times Square, which you can see there, which is it's pretty much. I mean, it's insanely busy on Times Square. I mean, at the moment it's not too bad, but it was ridiculous. Times Square was kind of what I imagined the rest of New York was going to be. Insanely busy. No space to move anywhere. Nutters on the corner preaching about God or the world's going to end or something like that. And that was kind of how I expected the entire of New York to be. But in actual fact, Times Square is just on its own. The rest of New York's actually quite nice. So there's loads of people, but nobody bumps into you, which I just loved. What else did we do? We went down to Greenwich Village. Now, Greenwich Village, a lot of people don't generally go down to Greenwich Village because it's sort of very far down. It's down to the south of Manhattan Island, and it's very higgledy-piggledy, like streets and stuff. It's not the traditional lines like you've got like in New York's the most easiest city ever to navigate. I've never known anything like it. You've got avenues which go up and down, and you've got streets to go across, and they're all numbered, and you pretty much can't get lost as long as you know where the place is. You pretty much can't get lost. Apart from the time when I was trying to find the Nike store, that was bloody annoying. I was wandering around for ages trying to find that. But anyway, so we did Greenwich Village, which is it's really, really nice. It's very hipstery. There's lots of little coffee shops and little restaurant-y type places. There's no chain restaurants, and if there are, they sort of close down pretty quick. We went on a Jeep tour, an SUV tour, as the Americans like to call it. It's a Jeep Wrangler tour, and there was this guy called Isaac who drove us about all around the place, and was sort of showing up, pointing us out and stuff, and that was really good. On the tour, we went over to the Twin Towers, sort of the Twin Towers sites, where they're building the new ones, Freedom Tower, whatever they're calling it. We went over to, we did a bit of a tour of Greenwich Village. We went over to Brooklyn. That's some really nice parts of Brooklyn as well. Where else did we go? We went over the Brooklyn Bridge. We pretty much stayed away from the main bits because that's where we were primarily for the majority of the week. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing the tour buses. We didn't do any, and we did that on purpose because there was no point. We didn't see there much point because we were doing this SUV tour, and he took us on a lot of the places we wouldn't have seen anyway. And we were in it anyway, so there's no point taking a tour bus because they would have just pointed out to you the stuff you sort of knew was there anyway. So that was that really. Food, OMFG, just the best food I've ever tasted. I had the best coffee I've ever had in my life in New York. I had the best dessert I've ever had in my life in New York. I had the best pizza, the best cheesecake. Out of this world amazing. Round by the Apple shop, the big cube, by F.A.O. Schwarz, there's a little coffee shop to the left-hand side of, if you're looking at the cube from from the road, if you're looking at the cube straight on the left-hand side, there's a little coffee shop. It's hidden away. Go in there. It's fucking amazing. It's insanely good. I can't remember what the place is called. Some Italian place. The coffee is out of this world amazing, and it's not expensive. It's $4 for a cafe latte. Cafe latte, if I can actually get my words out. It was just orgasmic. Then we had a dessert in there. I had a chocolate souffle. It was just if I could have had sex with it, I would have had sex with it right there and then. It was so good, but it was quite expensive, about $12 I think in the end. But it was definitely worth it. It literally was sex on a plate. It was out of this world amazing. Just my god. But anyway, then we went to John's Pizza. If you ever go to New York, try a place called John's Pizza. There's like 4 places in New York called John's, and they're all exactly the same place. The original place was actually on Bleecker Street, and that's in Greenwich Village. Worth going there because it's just the original place, and it's really good. It's really rustic and old-fashioned. There's another place on Times Square, which is an old gospel church they've converted into a place. It's not as good. I mean, the food, the pizzas are just ridiculous, insanely thin. They coal fire it as well. 4 minutes and the pizza's done. It's really, really good. And as long as you keep down on the toppings, don't put too much toppings on it because it's not, proper Italian pizza is not about toppings. Fuck this Domino's shit and this Pizza Hut shit. That's just completely different because they use really, really thick bases. They pump it full of E numbers and all sorts of shit. Monoglutamates or whatever old bullshit that's supposed to give us cancer this week. But yeah, so John's Pizza, really, really like the best pizza I've ever had. Just insanely good, insanely thin crusts, really good cheese, really good sauces. I think we went for a Hawaiian once, so pineapple and ham, and we went for onions and mushrooms and onions on the first one we ever had, and it was just wow, just really wow. And it wasn't that expensive, about $19 for a 16-inch pie, as the Americans call it, or a pizza like the rest of the world calls it. But that was a place that Isaac recommended, and somebody else recommended the place on Times Square. I think it was my mate of mine called Nick, but I can't remember whether it was him or whether it was Eric Garcia on Twitter. But anyway, there was that, and then there's another place you need to check out if you're ever in New York. Best cheesecake I've ever tasted. Now I don't know whether or not it's just because it's in New York, or whether or not it's good cheesecake for New York. I'm not too sure because I didn't try anything else other than this place. Junior's Restaurant. I can't quite remember where. I think it's on 45th Street. It's on 45th Street between 8th and 7th Avenue. And along there, place called Junior's. Best cheesecake ever. We went for the original one. Just, it was so good. Not that expensive either. And I recommend buying a whole cheesecake, not a slice, because, well, for a start, the slice is quite... It depends on how many people you've got with you. We had 3 people. It was me, mother and father. And we had one little cheesecake between us because it worked out cheaper than buying 3 individual slices of a big cheesecake. As recommended by the people there, which is also where I got complimented on my accent. And that was kind of literally it, really. We did a lot of stuff in not very much time. We were only there for 6 days. But it seriously is amazing. It's probably the best place I've ever been to. But it really is good. The people were really friendly. Food's really good. The only time the food was shit was when we went to TGI Fridays, where they charged you $8 for a pint of Guinness, and it wasn't a proper pint. It was an American pint, which is 0.8 of a or 80% of a UK pint. So they're missing 20% of that 0.2 of a pint right there. I don't know what I think is real money, but anyway, so they don't give you a proper pint anyway. The Guinness was fucking awful. It tasted like it was watered down. Now I know the Guinness in the UK isn't as good as the Guinness in Ireland. I've never tried Irish Guinness, proper Irish Guinness. I want to, but I've never been over to Ireland, so that might be a trip for next year. And apparently that's supposed to be the best ever, but this stuff was just, it was like rat piss. You may as well have been bloody drinking Strongbow, which is also another horrendous drink. But no, that was pretty much that, and the food in there was a bit shit, really. But it's a chain restaurant. What do you kind of expect, really? And that was kind of it, really. We didn't really do very much else apart from the dinner cruise, which was a night dinner cruise along the Hudson up the East River, I think it was. Went around Statue of Liberty. And some really amazing views. If I actually got my camera configured correctly, I would have been able to take some good photos, but I didn't. So some of the photos I got were a bit shit. So they're not that great, which you can see up there. They weren't that great, but they weren't too bad. But no, that was fucking amazing. That was such a good trip. It was a posh dinner cruise, although it said on the invitation we had to wear a shirt, tie, and a jacket and trousers. As it turned out, we didn't really have to bother because everybody turned up in jeans and t-shirts, it seemed, which I was quite disappointed about, but there we go. I'm just trying to think what else we did. That was pretty much it. But no, I will do, at some point, I will do a Canon 600D review because it's a really, really good camera. It's my first DSLR, so I'm not very confident with actually knowing much about photography and ISOs and all that other stuff. But no, I will do a full review on that. I'm also going to get rid of my iPad because it's a crock of shit. So I'll probably get Nexus to replace that, and I also need to replace my phone because that is rubbish as well. But that's pretty much it. I was going to do a video before I left, but I didn't because I was very, very ill and had to stay home from work for a couple of days. So that was that. But I shall leave you in peace. And I'll catch you in a bit.